guys. We are here at Bathurst this week, race number 4 on the season. After this race will be the midpoint of the season, so we do 8 race seasons. We're in our 4th race, so these guys have put on a great show so far for the first half of the season, and we look forward to seeing what they can do going forward. So one surprise we have here tonight is we have Eric Alvarez on pole position again. We've seen Eric pole once before this season. We've seen him in the front more and more this season, and as the season goes on, he seems to be getting faster and faster and more consistent. So great showing by Eric to end up on the pole position. You got Mike Bowen in second, no surprise there. He's really fast, and he's only been with us this season, but he's made a big impression with his speed for sure. And then you got Mike Wojchik in third, and Mike dominated this race back in season 2. He dominated to a point where this week before this week started, I asked the guys, can anybody beat Mike Wojchik at Bathurst? And so far, some people have qualified faster than him, so maybe so. But we saw Mike dominate at this track. He was in the BMW then. He's in the McLaren now. But he put on a truly dominant performance back in Season 2, and we know he knows this track really, really well. Then after that, we've got John Snow, Mike Doherty rounding out the top 5. Then we've got Kay Tillman, Jesse Albert, Casey Bennett, Andre Marchician, Pedro Perez, David Macedo, Ken North, Joe Marsiglia, Kyle Macedo. Grimy Dog is actually Laurel Waddle, so that's Laurel Waddle in 15th. Evan Miller, Scott Taylor, Eric Tong, Maxwell Cerna, and Nick Driveman. So that's our running order for tonight, or our starting order, I should say, for tonight. And we look forward to this. This is a treacherous racetrack. It's a place where things can go really wrong really fast. If you've never raced at Bathurst, the back half of the track, as you climb the mountain and then as you come down the mountain, is extremely narrow. The walls are very close to the track all through that section of track. So for about half the track, you are racing right in between 2 concrete barriers, and very little room for error. You can see as they're starting to climb the mountain now, it'll narrow down, and it only seems to get worse as you climb. And then as you come down the backside, it's the same. There's no room for mistakes. If you make a mistake, you're going to hit the wall really hard, and it's one of the things that makes this track great, because if a guy can have a clean race, if you can stay clean for a whole race, then you can truly dominate here. But if you have one little mistake, that was the thing back in Season 2 when Wojcik dominated here so much. I kept riding on board with him thinking he's got to make a mistake at some point, because he was pushing so hard and really racing at an unbelievable pace, and I was like, he's gonna blow it. He's got to blow it. There's no way he can do this for an entire race, but he did. He maintained that level of intensity and that level of speed the entire race and won in dominant fashion. So you see the guys are about to come down now. They're starting to come down the hill. Bathurst it's a pretty awesome track. It's world renowned, and for good reason. It's really a fun track. It's one of my worst tracks as a race driver. I think I've had more incidents at Bathurst than any other track that I've ever ran. Actually, I'm pretty certain that I've had more incidents at Bathurst than any other track. But you see, one thing that's kind of interesting about tonight is we've got 2 Hondas up front, and it just goes to show that speed is speed. If you ask people, what the dominant cars were in ACC, the Honda would not be, I don't think, one of the ones people would mention. But we've got 2 really fast guys driving the Honda up front. and we've got Mike Doherty in the Nissan GTR. That's not a car you would typically see a lot of people running in the front with. Doesn't mean it's not fast. You just don't see people using it that often. And we've got two guys. We've got Andre Marchishin also driving the GTR. So we look forward to the race tonight. We're about to get started here. They're going to be forming up here in just a second, getting everybody in order for the start of the race. You can see them starting to get too wide. So this turn one is a pretty risky turn. It's a kind of a short to medium speed burst down the front stretch, and then into turn one is immediate. Okay, so we're about to see the start of the race. These guys have the formation looking good. Let's see how we start here. There's the green flag, so they're off. Not a very long stretch here, and then it's immediately into this hard left-hand turn. We're going to get a good camera angle of all the cars coming around that turn. Look at everybody keeping it clean through the pack there. 19 cars through turn one, no incidents. That's what we like to see. And you see Mike Bowen all over the back of Eric Alvarez, really close up on him. Now trying to look down the outside, actually, of Alvarez. Alvarez has got him cleared in the front, though. Oh, Alvarez touches the wall there. Not sure how hard he actually hit the wall, but that's not good. You see the traffic behind him is not far behind, so another mistake like that, and he's going to lose a lot of positions. Ooh, really close to the wall, some of these guys. Eric's showing great speed, though, getting out in front. Let's take a look back through the field a little bit. We got Doherty in fifth. He's on the back of John Snow. You see how much speed these guys are carrying, even through these really tight corners coming down the hill here. It looked like, did Alvarez hit the wall again right there? It looked like he did. Let's take another look at that. Yeah, he did. Alvarez touches the wall again. Just a little bit overdriving the car maybe on this first lap. A little bit of nerves maybe. Trying to shake that stuff out. That's going to give Bowen the lead, and that's not good for Alvarez, because Bowen is, once he gets the lead, he doesn't really make mistakes. I don't think we've ever seen Mike Bowen make a mistake. He's extremely fast, and you see Wojchik looking around the outside of Alvarez right there. Not quite able to get up alongside. Oh, Alvarez goes around and ends up in the wall. Oh, man. So a horrible start for Eric Alvarez. Started up in the front, but is going to fall back now. He is in, I think it's 7th place, 6th place, or 7th place. And he's got quite a bit of damage on that Honda. I don't know how capable he's going to be at this point. That's going to give Mike Bowen the lead with Mike Wojchik in tow. Now we know Wojchik is a master at this track, but we don't really know about Mike Bowen. We don't know what he is able to do here. We know he's really, really fast everywhere we've ever seen him. So we'll see what these guys are able to do. John Snow right on the heels of Wojchik. And Mike Doherty right behind him. John Snow and Mike Doherty are pretty much fast everywhere we race. Those guys, they put up great lap times and usually seem to finish really high up in the running order or win. Oh, and you see, oh, that's John Snow coming around there. John Snow took a hard lick from somebody. Let's take a closer look. jump on board with John. Coming through this high-speed section here. You see that's Wojchik just ahead. John gets a little too much of the bumper and just ends up in the wall. And then that's Mike Doherty that hits him right there. Doherty had nowhere to go and just ran into him. That is going to put John back a little ways. So we'll try to keep an eye on the front here, but let's see what's going on. We got snow. Not sure how much damage he's got, but he's letting a lot of people go. Doesn't look like he's trying to get back on the track right away. Just going to let some guys go and to try to regroup. Don't know how much damage he took from that hit. We know John is one of the favorites, if not the favorite, in every race that he's in, so not sure how much the damage will affect. Doesn't look bad. His car doesn't look like it has a lot of damage, but that doesn't really mean anything. Doesn't mean it's not driving terrible, so we'll see what he's able to do to recover from that, but he's currently being shown in 18th place, so he's got a lot of work to do on a track that's extremely hard to pass. A lot of work in front of him right now. So let's get back to the front. You see Alvarez seems to have settled in 6th place, kind of got it tightened up a little bit. You see Bowen still out in front with Wojchik behind. These two guys are kind of pulling away from everybody else. Of course, Mike Doherty is the next guy, and Doherty had that incident with John, so that no doubt slowed him down quite a bit. Let's see who's behind Doherty. So right behind Doherty is Kay Tillman. We're not used to seeing Tillman up this far in the running order, but he's having a really good race. And then right behind him is Jesse Albert. And then there is about a 2.6 second gap back to Alvarez. We see some of our fastest drivers back in this group right here. Right behind Eric Alvarez, that's Andre Marchishин in the green GTR. Andre, we know he's really fast in pretty much every track we race at. And then behind him is Casey Bennett, who has shown a lot of speed this season, really shown a lot of ability. And then behind Casey is Pedro Perez. Now, we're used to seeing Pedro top 3, top 4. Pedro's in 9th, so that just shows how fast this group is here tonight. I mean, there's just speed everywhere on the track. There's some really fast guys. You got David Macedo running in 10th. Here's David in the Porsche. The first time we've gotten to see him in the Porsche this year, or this season. And we haven't seen David this season, but I really was hoping to see a lot of him when he said he was going to drive the Porsche, because I love the Porsche. It's the car I drive when I race in ACC, and I wanted to see what a driver as good as David could do in that car. But we'll try to enjoy it tonight. So we got David in 10th, and then his brother Kyle is behind him in the McLaren. And then you see Joe Marsiglia behind Kyle. And then that's Laurel Waddle behind him. And then Eric in the Aston Martin behind him. All right, let's get back to the front and see what's going on up here. Mike Bowen's still holding on to the lead. Looking pretty good. He's actually got a little bit of a gap on Wojchik. He's about 1.3, almost 1.4 seconds ahead of him right now. I didn't think anybody could give Wojchik much of a run for his money at this place, but all these guys are doing a great job. Let's take a ride on board with Wojchik for just a minute. Actually, hold on. We'll save that. We'll save that for a full lap, because this track is... It's incredible to watch what these guys are able to do around this track. So we'll wait till they're starting a new lap and we'll jump on board. On board. Oh, and Bowen ends up in the wall, and Wojcik's going to get the lead of the race. Wow, man, a lot of guys having problems with that wall on the final turn before this high-speed stretch right here. You see Bowen, he's stuck. He's got traffic going by him. There's nothing he can do but just sit and wait. And he's got a lot of damage on that car. So he's got to be upset right now. So Wojchik is going to inherit the lead of the race. We're going to take a ride on board with Mike Wojchik. We're going to show you why he has dominated so strongly here. So this area here is a really high speed area. Kind of the little bit of breathing room you actually get on this track is this straight right here. You can kind of relax your hands for a minute, kind of, you know, stretch your neck, do what you got to do to get ready to climb the mountain again. And here we go up the mountain. So we're coming into this high-speed right-hand turn right here. The track is going to narrow up here. It gets really narrow. You see how close the walls are on both sides. You see how precise you have to be on the braking points. Car control is so important on a track like this, because if you lose control of your car, even for just a second, you're going to end up in the wall like we've seen people do tonight. So you see Wojchik flying over the mountain here. He's really good at this track, and it's fun to watch. So he's coming down here, really high-speed area. He's moving at 142 miles per hour around that high-speed left-hand turn. Down the mountain now. Lots of back and forth, twisting and turning down this hill. You see Mike, he's really comfortable. He's got the car right up by the walls. He's not afraid of it. There's the corner that's given so many people problems tonight. And then another long stretch. So the Bathurst is kind of the tale of two tracks. You have the high-speed areas on one half of the track, and then you have the mountain, and that's the other half of the track. And the high-speed areas are pretty straightforward. You know, this turn right here is a little tricky. It's kind of flat, and you can slide off the track if you're not careful, but once you get it down, it's not too bad. This final turn before the front stretch, not too bad. The front stretch is kind of short here. From here to the next turn's not very long, you know, but it's enough that you can have a drag race for a finish, but that's about it. And then down to this really hard left-hander, and then you're back around. That's turn one. There you go, starting a new lap. So it's not so much the first or that half of the track, it's the mountain. The mountain is the part that really gets you, and it decides who's going to win or lose, and we've already seen that tonight, and there's no doubt going to be more action on the mountain tonight. So Wojchik has a big lead on Mike Doherty. So we know Mike's really, really good here. Well, we know both Mikes are really, really good here, but we know Wojchik is really comfortable here. If he can keep the car out of the wall, it's going to be really hard for Doherty to catch him. And then Jesse Albert has moved up into third. So Jesse making good headway. You see Jesse how close to the wall he's getting right there. He's doing really well. Kay Tillman's still having a great race, holding on to fourth. And then Andre is now up into fifth place. So Andre's looking really strong. Was really excited to see what he and Mike Doherty were going to do in the GTR this season, and they have certainly not disappointed. It's been fun watching these guys. And here behind this, we got Eric Alvarez, who's being hounded by Casey Bennett. And Casey Bennett, I believe he has a custom livery, and I downloaded the most recent liveries, but for some reason he's still just showing up as a plain black car. Casey, I apologize that I'm not getting your livery in the races. I don't know what's going on. I updated the livery files right before I started recording this, but it's still not showing, so I'm not sure what that's all about. We'll try to get it for the next race. You see Pedro Perez, he's no slouch. He's in 8th. He's right behind these guys. Don't know how Pedro feels about Bathurst. I've never really talked to him about it, but we know Pedro's pretty fast everywhere we race. He's usually up in the front, so we expect to see a good performance from him. Same thing for the guy behind him, David Macedo. He's really fast everywhere we go. He hasn't raced much this season, or maybe at all. I think he's raced in a couple of weekly events, but I don't think he's actually made it to a points race this season. See somebody off the track back there. Looks like Eric Tong. Yeah, that was Eric Tong. Just ran a little wide on the first turn there. See somebody else running wide back there too. That's John Snow, who has moved up to 14th. So he's already gained, I think he was in 18th place. So he's already gained 4 spots and making his way through now. Trying to recover from that incident earlier. Let's take a look on board with John and just see if he's dealing with any alignment issues. A lot of times when you take a hit like that or you hit a wall, you know, he took a hard shot from Mike Doherty in the passenger side of his car. A lot of times when that happens, the wheel is no longer straight. Your alignment gets bent, and so to go straight, you have to turn the wheel. So it makes it extremely hard to drive. Doesn't look like John is dealing with that though. Looks like his wheel is fairly straight. And he's hunting people down one after the other. Not much you can do with guys on the mountain. You just kind of got to wait till you get to some of the higher speed areas and try to get around them. Alright. So Wojchik has now got a 7.6 second lead. So he's got a healthy lead. We know he loves this track. That's a recipe for success for him. Getting the breaks that he got early and then ended up with clean track out in front of him. He's already dominant here, so you give him a little bit of help and he's really going to be impossible to beat. And then Doherty with a great showing, holding on after that incident. You know, that's the kind of thing that can ruin your race, and he really didn't have anywhere he could go. John ended up in the middle of the track in one of the tightest parts of the racetrack, so there's just nothing you could do there. But Doherty, you know, let's take a look on board and see if his wheel looks straight. He hit Snow pretty hard. But he's been racing really well since then, so I guess the damage on the car is not too intense. You see just how close these guys get to these walls coming through here. Okay, so let's take a look back through the field. We've got Eric Alvarez still being hounded by Casey Bennett. That's one position battle that's going on. Eric's got some pretty significant damage on that Honda. Not sure how much that's affecting his ability to drive the car. We saw him tap at least one, maybe 2 walls and get away with it, and then the last one finally got him. He just had a really bad first lap of the race, and he's recovered pretty nicely considering how bad that first lap was. He's only in 6th place, so he's still doing really well and in front of a lot of really fast drivers. So if he can recover from this, hopefully the damage doesn't take too long to repair, but if he can continue to race well, he can have a nice finish, you know, despite all that. Okay, so there's one position battle. Then we've got, back here, we've got Joe Marsiglia, who's been right on the rear bumper of Kyle Macedo for a little while now. Oh, and you see, I don't know what happened. Let's take a look at that real quick. We saw Macedo come around. It looked like maybe Joe got into the back of him. We're right on board with Joe for a second here. Coming down the short front stretch. Oh yeah, Joe just missed the braking point right there and got into the back of Macedo. That's unfortunate for both of those guys because they're losing a lot of positions now. And somebody is in... Is that Ken? that's Ken in that bright green Lamborghini. Okay, I think that's a different paint scheme than what he had before. So that's Ken North in the green Lamborghini. We don't usually see him this far back in the running. Not sure if something happened to him. I can't remember where he started the race, so I'm not sure if he's lost positions or if he's where he started. I'm not really sure, but oh, you see him hit the wall right there. That's certainly not going to help. This might just not be his track. We've seen Ken consistently be up in the top 10, if not the top 5, for a while now, for about 3 seasons, over 2 seasons now. He's been consistently up in the front and shown a lot of speed. And then we've got John Snow. John is now all the way up into 9th, so he's making good headway against some of these guys. You see David Macedo now. Some of this might be because some guys have pitted. That could be why Ken North was so far back. He might have pitted already. I didn't think about that because the pit window, it doesn't show me on the replay what amount of time is left in the pit window or anything like that, but that is something we have to be mindful of. So yeah, because look, here we've got, oh no, we lost Mike Doherty. He's just gone. He must have had a disconnect or something. We know Mike has had an issue with crashes in the past where the game would just crash on him mid-race. And not sure if that's what happened tonight, but man, he was having a great race. He was up in 2nd. That's going to give 2nd place to Jesse Albert. Albert is 12.4 seconds behind Wojchik, so Wojchik would have to make a pretty big mistake for Albert to catch him, but if Albert can keep up this pace, he can get a 2nd place finish. There's a lot of racing left, but it's still really impressive on his part to be up this high. Let's see, what position are some of these other guys in? So we got David Macedo being shown in 8th place right now. Pedro Perez is in front of him. See Wojchik really in a comfortable spot right now. He's got, I think that's Maxwell Cerna. Yeah, that's Maxwell that he's catching up to. So see some of these guys coming into the pits. Now, both of those guys, Ken North and Mike Bowen, have some pretty significant damage on their car, so their pit stop might be pretty long. And that's Eric Alvarez. He's already in the pits. Joe Marsiglia is coming in. Alvarez has got significant damage on his car as well. Not sure if any of these guys are bold enough to not repair the damage and just go back out the way it was. Damage can at times take a lot of time and add it to your pit stop. So alright, so we need to keep an eye on this gap between Jesse Albert and Mike Wojchik. It's at 12.4. Uh-oh. You see, looks like Cerna off the track there. Wojcik's going to get by him easily. Okay, well, it's now showing 13 seconds of a gap from Wojchik to Jesse Alvarez. So he lost 6/10 just on that lap alone. Unless that's because Alvarez is pitting. No, it's not. So, and we got guys coming out of the pits and rejoining the track. That's a little bit sketchy, but everybody's making it work. Good job by these guys to stay off of each other. So that should be fun to watch. You got some fast guys racing in and around each other, but they're not actually racing for position. So they need to let the leaders go as soon as they can safely do it. Now on the mountain, can you safely do it? Not too safe, but you can maybe do it. You see Marsiglia letting him go, but that ended up making him let several people go. Not sure if he was racing any of those guys for position or not. He is racing Bowen for position, so that's for position. Marsiglia having Bowen behind him right there. We know that Mike Bowen has had a lot more pace tonight than Marsiglia, but we'll see what happens. Oh, Marsiglia either had an incident or just let him go. Not sure which one. Okay, so Wojchik, is he going to pit? Because if some of these leaders start pitting, we can see where everybody's actually going to be after the pit stops. Kind of get a running order figured out, because right now it's all jumbled up. So Wojchik is not going to pit. He's going to stay out for at least one more lap. See Jesse Albert coming down here. He's got Wait, is that Tillman? Yeah, that's K. Tillman right on him. So Tillman all over him, and then Marcheshin all over Tillman. So those two guys have caught up to Jesse Albert. Jesse had some kind of mistake happen because he lost a pretty good chunk of time. Yeah, see, it's all the way up to 15 seconds now, the gap to Wojchik. So Jesse has lost about 2.6 seconds in the last two laps, and that has let him get into the clutches of these two other drivers. Marcheshin looking to the inside of Tillman. He's going to get the position, and now trying to chase down Jesse Albert. Marcheshin looking really comfortable in that Nissan GTR. You know, it's halfway through the season in a new car. That's usually about the time in the season when guys start to really get comfortable with a new car. Third or fourth race of the season, they start feeling good and showing exactly how good they can be with that car. Okay, so let's take a look at Wojchik. Is he going to pit? He is not pitting, so he's staying out for another lap. Oh, you see Albert off the track there, losing the rear end of the car. Whoa, ends up making contact with Marcheshin. Marcheshin able to hold on to it somewhat and get into the pits, but that's gonna shake everything up between those three guys. Marcheshin is now in the pits. Tillman takes the position from Jesse Albert. Not sure if Jesse's overheated his tires or what, but the pace that he had early is fading. He's struggling a little bit with the car. Whatever it is, maybe a pit stop will help. So we're watching Mike Wojchik, wondering when he's going to pit. And certainly not showing any signs of slowing down, that's for sure. Alright, so we're going to wait and see if he pits this lap. We're 13 laps in the books. About to close out the 14th lap of the race. We are running 29 laps tonight. So 13 out of 29. And Wojchik is coming in now, so he's going to pit. Unfortunately, it doesn't show me how much time is left in the pit window. Alright, so Tillman and Jesse Albert coming around. Are these guys going to pit? And the answer is no. So they are not pitting. So for the first time in a points race in this league, Kay Tillman is going to take the lead in the race. We've never said that before, but Tillman for the time being is going to be our leader. And he's got Jesse Albert in second, but I think Jesse's having a little bit of a hard time with that car right now. He's not as fast as he was at the beginning of the race. So Tillman, even though he knows he's got a pit and he's going to give the lead back, he's got to feel good about the race he's had so far. He's had a really good showing, and he's in front of a lot of really fast drivers, so got to be happy with that. We'll see where some of these guys shake out after the pit stops and everything. See if Tillman pits this lap or not. So Wojchik is currently shown in 5th. So he was far enough out in front that even waiting for these guys to pit, he's still all the way up in 5th. So we'll see if these guys pit this lap or not. He's not going to pit again, so these guys are staying out for at least another lap. We're going to check on David Macedo for a minute. He's currently shown in 4th. And we know David typically pits really late in races. That's kind of his MO. That's his thing. And he's coming around again, so he's not going to pit this lap. We've got Evan Miller being shown up in 6th. We'll see if he pits or not. Behind him is Scott Taylor, so a pretty good position battle going on between these guys. We'll see if a pit stop separates them or if they pit together. We'll see what these guys do real quick. So we see Evan kind of hanging to the left. He's coming in, and Scott's going to stay out. So that's going to divide that position battle. Oh, and Mike Doherty is back. We lost Mike for a few laps, and he's back on the track. Just saw him in the background there. Really unfortunate for him. He was having a fantastic race. So Casey Bennett being shown in 3rd. Jesse Albert in 2nd. See Jesse. Can't tell if he actually hit the wall right there or if it just looks like it. That one spot, it looks like they hit the wall every time. See a different camera angle. Coming around this turn right here. If he didn't hit the wall, he got really close. Not sure about that one. You see Casey Bennett all over. He must have hit the wall because Casey caught up to him pretty good right there. So let's check on our leader. Tillman coming down the front stretch here, or the back stretch here. see if he's going to bring it into the pits. Doesn't look like it. No, he's staying out again. So Kay Tillman enjoying being in the lead. Casey Bennett going to stay out another lap. You see Jesse Albert bringing it in the pits. Jesse's got a decent amount of damage on that car now, so see if he repairs that while he's in the pits. You see David, he's going to stay out. You see Joe Marsiglia coming in. That looked like Kyle Macedo. Yep, Kyle Macedo. Not sure if he's already pitted or not. Not really sure what has gone on with him. We know we saw him in that incident a little bit ago, so not sure there. Oh, and Evan Miller got a drive-through penalty. That is terrible, man. Drive-through penalty. He's having such a good race, running up in 11th. And pit penalties, they're just the worst. It's one of the most frustrating things as a driver to get a penalty in pit lane, because you do everything else right and you make one little mistake on pit lane and it costs you a lot. So we'll see where he shakes out after he serves that drive-through. Luckily it's just a drive-through and not a 30-second stop and go, but still, that's frustrating for him. Okay, so Wojchik up into 4th now. He's got 3 guys ahead of him. He's just waiting for these 3 guys to pit. So here's Tillman coming down the backstretch. Really high speed area back here. He's got Mike Bowen behind him. We know Mike has a ton of speed, but Bowen is all the way back in 13th place. So he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to make up some positions. And you see Tillman is going to stay out another lap, so he's not pitting again. Same thing for Casey Bennett. He's staying out too. Let's check on David Macedo. See if he pits this lap. And he's going to stay out too. So Wojcik's going to have to sit back in 4th for at least one more lap while these guys continue to do what they're doing. Let's take a look at Marcheshin. We know Marcheshin was having a really great race, and he pitted. That's right, he pitted earlier, so he's already pitted and he's up into 5th. So he's going to be really high up in the running order after all this gets sorted out with the pit stops. Andre's having a quiet but fantastic race. Maybe it's my fault. I just overlooked how good he was actually doing. We saw him have that near catastrophe with Jesse earlier, but they were both somehow able to keep control of their cars for the most part and survive it. But that could have been a huge mistake by both, at least one of those guys. I shouldn't say both, but crisis avoided there. So Andre, interested to see where he ends up. If he should be in 2nd, I think, after these guys pit. So can't remember where Andre started. It was somewhere in the top 10, but I think it was lower top 10, like 8th or something like that. And he might be in 2nd after this next few pit stops here. So we got Tillman coming around. The pit window's got to be closing soon, so these guys have to pit at some point. They're running it really long. So here comes Tillman. He's coming in. They might all have to pit this lap because they might have pushed it right to the very end. Some of these guys like to push it to the very end of the pit window. I don't fully understand it. I'm too much of an anxious person to do that. It stresses me out. But some of these guys push it right to the very last minute when they almost run out of time, and then they pit right at the very end. You see David coming in also. So those 3 guys coming into the pits is going to result in Mike Wojchik reclaiming the lead of the race. That part was pretty much guaranteed. We knew that was going to happen. So Wojcik's coming around. and he is going to retake the lead. All of these guys are still in the pit, so a nice big lead for Wojchik coming right up. The question is, where is Marchician? He's on the backstretch. Now, he's far behind Wojchik. I don't even know what the gap is, but it's a lot. He's far behind Wojchik, but where will he come out in relation to these guys? So you see K. Tillman coming out now. So Marchician's not as close as I thought. Okay. So is he going to pass any of these guys? Yeah, he's going to get David Macedo. Casey Bennett just came out. We'll probably see Marchician any second now behind him. Yep, nope, that's not him. Okay, so Marchician's going to come out, and David's coming out just as Marchician goes by. So David Macedo and Andre Marchician, those guys have had some epic battles over the seasons that we've had. So this should be fun to watch, these two guys going. And look who's right behind them. Somehow, Jon Snow is right behind these guys. He's all the way up into 6th place. How did John go from, I think he was in 18th place at one point, all the way to 6th? That is insane. So Jon Snow has found his way not only into the top 10, but in the top 6, and he's hunting down David Macedo and Andre Marchician. If I'm the two guys, these two guys are newer drivers. We got K. Tillman and we got Casey Bennett. Now these guys have both shown a ton of speed this season, especially Casey. But if I'm them, knowing that I've got Marchician, Macedo, and Snow behind me, man, I am getting on my horse and I am hauling ass. There is no way I'm going to let those guys run me down. But on a track like this, you can only push so much. I mean, most drivers anyway. So we'll see what John's able to do with the guys ahead of him. It looks like that's Maxwell Cerna between John and David. Yeah, it is. Maxwell's in between those guys. And you see over the hill back there, that's Pedro Perez. Pedro is in 8th. Jesse Albert is being shown in 7th. Yeah, so Jesse Albert, he got the damage repaired on his car. He's in 7th. Pedro is in 8th. Jon Snow is in 6th. Okay, getting it all sorted out here. So let's take a look at this position battle that's going on between these two guys. We got Marchician and Macedo. Now Marchician got a jump on him when he came by as David was coming out of the pits. David hasn't been able to close that gap yet. We've never seen David in a points race in that Porsche, so we don't know how fast he is in that car. Can he keep pace with Marchician? We know Andre's gotten really fast in the GTR. He's kind of gotten faster as the season has gone on. So just like Mike Doherty, Mike has gotten faster and faster in the GTR as well. So we're going to take a look on board with Macedo in the Porsche. So that is the difference. Right now it's at 1.33 is the gap between these guys. See Macedo catching up to him a little bit coming down the hill here. Okay, so he's got it down under 1.3 now, so he shaved a little bit off. So he's, at least during that section of the track, he's gained on Marchician a little bit. You see Marchician is 12 seconds behind Casey Bennett, so it's a pretty good gap. They've got about 10 laps left, 9 laps left. Not sure if that's enough time for them to catch those guys up front. I might have oversold how much of a threat they were to Casey Bennett and Kay Tillman. Those guys are almost, well, they're over 12 and a half seconds ahead. So actually, Casey's 12 and a half seconds ahead. Kay Tillman is almost another 9 seconds ahead of that. So, and then you see Kay Tillman is 24.6 seconds behind Wojchik. So Wojchik really, really dominant, pulling away from everybody right now. And you see Macedo here is back to 2.6 seconds behind Marchishin. So at some point, he's lost a considerable amount of time to Andre. Which he's got to be careful doing that because Jon Snow is behind him. So you see just how frantic it is coming down the mountain. I don't know how these guys do it lap after lap after lap without making a mistake. I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes on this track. This track has kind of been my nemesis over the years. So this battle has broadened. It's not as close as it once was. Mike Bowen has made his way past Scott Taylor. He was behind Scott Taylor about a lap ago. But we know Bowen has really good pace. More pace than Scott has. At this track at least. So he was able to get past him. That puts Bowen back into the top 10. He's in 10th now after that really bad incident right there, actually. Right where he's at right now is where he had that incident and got stuck on the side of the road. He lost a ton of positions in that incident. Much like Jon Snow, Jon did the same thing. Jon has recovered all the way back to 6th place. And he is catching David Macedo. He's got it down to 2.6 seconds, and he's reeling him in. That is not good news if you're David Macedo. We'll keep an eye on David's times, keep an eye on his relativity to Marchishin, if he's losing time to Marchishin or if he's gaining. Actually, he's losing time. He's down to 3.4 seconds behind Marchishin. So Andre pulling away. So Andre's got the lead to Casey Bennett down to 12.3. So he's cutting it away slowly, but he's only got about 8 laps to make something happen. Let me double check here. Yeah, 8 laps. He's got about 7 or 8 laps to finish this thing out. Not sure if you can make up 12 seconds in 8 laps, but maybe if somebody makes a mistake. Let's see, do we have any other close... Doesn't look like we have any close position battles going on anywhere. Unfortunately, with these really difficult tracks like this, that's kind of the name of the game. Is we saw it at Alton Park. You know, guys end up pretty spread out because there's a million different places you can make a mistake at Alton Park, and every mistake you make costs you time, and every little bit of time you add on to your laps, it just spreads everybody. Oh, you see John tap the wall right there. John, that's uncharacteristic for him, putting the car into the wall a little bit. That's going to slow him down. He had it down to 1.3 seconds on Macedo. We'll see what it is once it updates. Still showing 1.3. It might be correct. I'm not sure. He may not have lost much time there. Okay, he did 1.7. So he lost about 0.4 of a second from that little wall tap that he had. So that means he's got some work to do. Let's take a ride on board with John. See, that's the target up ahead. And if you're David at this point, you're just trying to hold on. You're hoping you can maintain your pace. You know, he's lost touch with Marchician. He's now 4.2 seconds behind Marchician. So he's lost touch with him. He's got a lot of work to do to keep Jon Snow from catching him. See what it is when it updates here. But John, it's a pretty good gap. John's up to 2.1 seconds behind Macedo. So Macedo pulled away from him in that last lap. Ever since that little touch of the wall, John hasn't had the pace he had coming up to that point. And if you're John or Mike Doherty, who disconnected, or Eric Alvarez, who had a horrible lap one, or some of these other guys who have just had a rough night, you're just going to be glad to see Bathurst in the rearview mirror after this week is over. And even though John's in 6th place, he's having a great finish and everything, but could have been something a lot more if it wasn't for that incident earlier. So if you're, you know, these guys have to have a short-term memory with these things. They have to forget it all, and then next week put in the time, practice, you know, do the practice races throughout the week, and prepare for the next week's big show, which is Saturday night. And these guys do a great job of that. We've seen guys have horrible races, huge mistakes that cost them, you know, a win or cost them a top finish, and just really horrible situation. Well, we've had guys with mechanical failures. Their wheel disconnects in the middle of a race and they total their car, or their computer shuts off in the middle of a race and they disconnect. We've seen so many guys go through stuff like that, and you just have to come back next week and get right back on it, get after it again. So we're going to look and see when this updates if John is making any progress on David Macedo. It's showing 2.14 right now. See what the updated split. It's about to update right here. Yeah, so it hasn't really changed. So what we're going to do, we're going to check on our leader for a second here. So Wojchik doing what he does here. Anybody who raced against him in Season 2 at this track shouldn't be surprised what he's done here tonight. Would have loved to have seen what was going to happen if some of these guys that started the race in front of him didn't have mistakes. If they had finished the race without those mistakes, could they have beaten Wojchik, or would Wojchik have gotten them anyway? I would have loved to have seen the outcome of that, but we'll never know for this one. We'll have to wait till the next time we race here. Alright, so we're going to run down the running order just to kind of, everybody's pretty spread out. There's not a lot of action going on, so let's just kind of take a look at what our running order looks like. So Wojcik's in the lead, of course, and then we got K. Tillman. He's 28 seconds behind Wojchik, so he's way off Wojchik. He's not going to catch him unless Mike makes a massive mistake. Then you got Casey Bennett in third. Now he's 10.8 seconds behind Tillman, so there's a large gap between those guys. Then you got Andre Marchician in fourth. He's 9.6 seconds behind Bennett, so there's a big gap between those guys. David Macedo is 5 seconds behind Marchician. You see Scott Taylor letting Macedo go there. Then you got Jon Snow, who is 2.9 seconds behind David Macedo. Jesse Albert is in 7th. Still a really solid finish for Jesse. He had a few really rough laps there. Not sure what he was dealing with, but he just did not seem to be getting along with his car at all for a few laps. And started really strong, but wasn't able to hold that pace. There's Pedro running in 8th. I think Pedro might have started in 8th, so the fact that he's held 8th this whole time, he might be having the most consistent race out of anybody in this race. So Pedro doing what he does. Mike Bowen is all the way up to 9th place now. Now, he had fallen all the way back to the back of the pack during that incident that he had, much like Jon Snow did. So these guys both showed their speed recovering the way they did to get back into the top 10. So there's Bowen in 9th. We got Laurel Waddle in 10th. And Laurel, I don't think Laurel has ever... Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I can't remember Laurel ever having a top 10 finish with us, but correct me if I'm wrong, buddy. I'm sorry if I've overlooked that in the past, but I don't remember him ever having a top 10 finish. So this could be a pretty good finish for him. And then he's got behind him is Eric Tong. Eric's been with us. He's from the Exiled Racing Group. And actually, this is a position battle that's going on that I have overlooked. We've got Ken North and Eric Tong are battling it out for 11th place. So I said everybody was spread out, but somehow I missed this one. So Ken North trying to make his way around Tong, but he's going over the mountain. There's really not going to be anywhere to do that. So he's just going to have to wait till they get over the mountain and then try to get him on the other half of the track. Behind him you see Joe Marsiglia. Ooh, looked like Ken might have touched the wall there. So Marsiglia, that's for position, I believe. Yeah, that's for position. So Marsiglia, well, maybe not, because it's showing Evan Miller is behind Ken North. You see Tong get a little bit loose there in the rear end. Ken not close enough to really take advantage of it. Let's take a look on board with Ken real quick. Now this is a really high speed area right here. Over 170 miles per hour. Coming around that high speed right hander. And if you're going to pass somebody, this is where you have to do it, because once you get on the mountain, you're stuck behind the guy. There's really no way around him unless he makes a huge mistake. It's just not any passing areas there. See, Ken's just not quite close enough to be able to make a move on Eric. If he's going to do it, now is the time, because once they get up on the mountain, there's no way he's going to be able to get it done. You see he's got a good run on him. He's going to move over and try to go to the outside, but the problem is he's going to be on the outside on a sweeping right-hand turn. And that's going to put him at a disadvantage. He's able to hold it steady, but he ultimately falls back behind Ken there. Or, excuse me, behind Eric. You see Eric overshoots the turn a little bit, gets a little wide. Whoa, these guys are getting close to the wall. So Ken keeping the pressure on Eric Tong. He lost a decent amount of time to him through that little section right there, though. He got a good run coming down this little hill right here, though. And He's got a run on him. He's going to try to take it around the outside. Let's take a look. Coming around the outside. He's going to be on the outside on that really high-speed right-hander unless he can get past him before they get to that, but he's not going to be able to get past him before that. Side by side, really close racing. Eric ends up off the track. Then he comes back on the track and ends up into Ken North. So that is unfortunate for those guys. Some close racing between those guys, but just unable to keep it together. I mean, ultimately Ken gets the position there, but unfortunate turn of events to see that. Meanwhile, David has fallen back to 6.4 seconds behind Andre. Andre's got it all the way down to 6.2 seconds to Bennett, but Wojchik is about to finish the race. So this race is effectively over. So that we're going to climb the mountain one more time with Wojchik here. This is just really fun. This is a fun thing I get to do. I get to sit here and enjoy how awesome it is flying over the mountain without actually having to be good enough to do it myself. So Wojcik doing what he does makes it look so easy, just flying over this mountain within a couple inches of the wall on both sides. He's got a 28-second lead, and he's still driving like he's in qualifying. So we saw this last time. He was on such a blistering pace, I didn't think there was any way he could survive the whole race at that pace. And I thought for sure at some point he would hit the wall really hard, but he never did. And he won that race going away the same way he's going to win this one. So he's coming down. That is Laurel Waddle up in front of him there. Laurel is in 10th place, so Wojcik has caught 10th place. So here he comes down the final turn. He's going to take the checkered flag. And there it is. That's the win for Mike Wojcik. Great race by him. Here comes Kay Tillman to finish it in second. Great showing by him tonight, and kind of a surprise top three. We've seen Tillman be pretty consistent in the past, but we've never seen him podium, so that's a big leap forward for him. Great race by him to come out in second, and on a race on a dangerous racetrack where there was a lot of carnage. And then we got Casey Bennett. Same thing for him. He's been consistent and he's been fast all season, but we haven't seen him in the top three, so here he is in the top three with a great finish. Got some damage on that BMW, but he's going to make it for third. Then behind him, Andre had gotten it down to 5 seconds. He was within 5 seconds of Casey Bennett, but wasn't able to catch him. David Macedo coming in fifth, and John Snow's going to finish it in sixth, which is incredible considering he was almost in last, like early in the race. And then Jesse Albert in seventh. We're going to run out of replay here in a minute, but Pedro Perez is going to come around and get eighth. You see behind him, that's Mike Doherty, but Doherty is 3 laps down. I don't know how Doherty is only 3 laps down. It seemed like he should be way more behind than that because he disconnected for a while. And then Mike Bowen in ninth, and let's see if we can get the top 10 before we run out of replay. Probably not. He's pretty far from the finish line. This is Laurel Waddle. He goes by Grimy Dog. That's why you see G-Dog. But Laurel, top 10, his first top 10 finish with us, I believe. I'm going to hear about it if it's not his first top 10, but I'm pretty sure it is. So he's going to come around, and he is going to take 10th before this replay ends. So there's Laurel with a great finish, and then that is going to be it. Everybody else is in the pits. The race is over. So the only thing more intense than climbing the mountain is climbing the mountain in really, really heavy traffic. So what we're going to do is we are going to ride with Mike Doherty. We're going to ride with Mike, and we're going to see what this first lap looked like, starting from 5th place and climbing the mountain. Here we go. So we just got the green flag coming down the front stretch here. Everybody nice and easy through the first turn. Nice and steady there. And you see everybody kind of shifting into single file. They know when they get up here to the hill, they're going to have to be single file. There's no way you can go too wide over the mountain. So you might as well pick your spot and just get in your spot. And that's what they're all doing. You see Doherty runs a little bit wide there, but that might have been by design. You see Eric Alvarez up in front up there. So it's not as intense as a lot of... I mean, the mountain is really intense, coming over the hills and through all this really crazy stuff right here. This is all really intense, but it's not as intense of like side-by-side racing as a lot of the tracks we do, because the guys just can't do that here. They know they can't, so they, you know, either decide to give up a position or dive in front of somebody to gain a position and just get in single file for the mountain, because there's just no way to do it too wide. And then once you get out here, then everybody starts trying to pass and make moves on each other. So, well guys, it was a great race. Halfway through the season now, halfway point. In the next, probably with about 3 races to go, so probably not next week, but the week after, we're going to go ahead and start looking at the points, where the standings are after these races. Before too, we're going to look at them before the race and after the race, and kind of get an idea of where everybody stands. So we appreciate you watching. We, you know, as always, we appreciate you joining us. We hope you're enjoying these half as much as we're enjoying making them for you. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Next week we are at Imola, so look forward to Imola next week, and should be some great racing there as well. So thanks again, guys.